Giant plastic collector almost good for Pacific Garbage Patch. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch has an estimated 1.8 trillion pieces of plastics brought there by ocean currents and is roughly 3 times the size of France. The ocean cleanup is building a giant 2,000-foot-long plastic scooping system in Alameda, California that will serve as a barrier to trap plastics floating in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. It's made from HDPE plastic and is flexible enough to bend with the waves, but rigid enough to form a U-shaped barrier to trap floating plastics pollution. A nylon screen underneath catches plastic without posing a threat to marine life. Large floating anchors hundreds of feet below the surface help steady the device so it moves slower in the current than the plastic, making it possible to pick up the garbage in front of the device. Boats will then come every 6 to 8 weeks to collect the plastics and take them back to land to be recycled. Ocean cleanup spokesperson Juice Dubois said that when the final systems are sent out to the Pacific Ocean, there will be 60 floating scoops in total. It's everywhere.
Great Pacific Garbage Patch is out of control. Here's some uplifting news. Results of a 3-year study, beginning in 2015, suggest the Great Pacific Garbage Patch could be 16 times larger than previous estimates. With 30 vessels and a C-130 Hercules aircraft, researchers cataloged a sample of over 1 million pieces of plastic, mostly microplastics, less than 0.5 centimeters in diameter. Scientists say there are more than 79,000 tons of plastic, equal to 500 jumbo jets, in a 1.6 million square kilometer area, around 3 times the size of France, of the North Pacific Ocean. Researchers found plastic bottles, containers, packaging straps, lids, ropes, and fishing nets among the other refuse that have been collecting for decades. As the plastics break down into smaller pieces, they threaten marine life that can eat and die from them.
Is it really the final straw for plastic? Take that straw out of your mouth. Cities are increasingly cracking down on single-use plastic straws. Americans use about 500 million straws a day, which works out to 1.5 straws a citizen every 24 hours. In the UK, 8.5 billion plastic straws are used each year. Straws are difficult to recycle and usually end up in landfills or being incinerated, but they are increasingly clogging up waterways and oceans as well. Cities worldwide are increasingly discouraging the use of straws, with some even outright banning them. Others have vowed to phase out plastics over the next decades. Plastic straw alternatives have also started to gain in popularity. They're made from materials like bamboo, metal, glass, paper, potato, or corn paste. But let's be honest, can you really teach an old dog new tricks?
China doesn't want the UK's recycled plastic anymore. Rich countries are now scrambling to find other places to dump their garbage after China's recent plastics ban. China imported 7.3 million tons of plastic waste in 2017 from the US, the EU, the UK, and Japan. But starting this year, it's banning 24 categories of recyclables and solid waste. Britain alone sends around 2/3, about 500,000 tons, of its recycled plastic to China every year. UK recycling firms are now looking to Malaysia and Vietnam. However, both those countries have capacity issues. Unless other alternative markets can be found, the plastics will have to be sent for incineration or dumped in a landfill. Well, we could always start launching all of our garbage into space. Most of the plastic in the ocean comes from these countries. Plastic waste is slowly but surely taking over the world's oceans, and the bulk of them apparently comes from just 5 Asian countries. A study from Ocean Conservancy estimates that 55 to 60% of plastic polluting the oceans comes from 5 countries: China, Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam. Uncollected and mismanaged waste on land accounts for about 80% of the 8 million metric tons of trash that flow into the oceans each year. Environmental organization Greenpeace claims corporations are also at fault for selling products in single-use plastic packaging, especially in so-called sachet economies like the Philippines. Various studies have shown that plastic pollution negatively impacts marine animals and may be indirectly affecting humans through the food chain. Fortunately, improving waste management practices in the 5 countries can result in a 45% reduction of global plastic waste leakage by 2025. In tackling plastic pollution, everyone has a role to play. From governments and big conglomerates to the people on the street, every bit helps.